buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving deep into the surprisingly strong German influence on English.
I
think most people think about Latin and French, but German is sneaking around in the background.
Huge influence.
And we are going to pull back the curtain and see what's really going on.
Absolutely.
We've got some really cool research for you all today.
Oh, yeah.
It's a paper all about how English is have been shaped by German and French.
Right.
And we'll get to the French part later.
Okay.
But I think the German part is going to be pretty surprising for a lot of people.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating how these influences go
right
way beyond just a few borrowed words.
Right.
They've actually shaped the very character of English.
So how about we just jump right into it?
Let's do it.
Okay. Where do we even start?
Well, I think the best place to start is at the very beginning with the Anglo-Saxons.
Okay, so the Anglo-Saxons brought us the roots of English.
Absolutely.
Which was a Germanic.
A Germanic language, brought over to Britain centuries ago.
Right, so we're talking way, way back.
Way back.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's amazing to think about how, these basic words that they brought with them have survived all these years.
I mean, like how many years are we talking?
Oh, we're talking over 1,000 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you think about a word like Morgan in Old English, which means morning, right?
Yeah.
It transformed into our morning today.
Oh, wow.
And then you have feld, which became field.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So like just totally basic words?
Absolutely core words that we use every single day, and they come straight from that Anglo-Saxon, that Germanic root.
That is so cool.
Isn't it fascinating? It's really remarkable how these core words have persisted through centuries of language evolution, surviving invasions and linguistic shifts.
Oh, yeah.
It's like these little linguistic time capsules.
So are you talking about like the Norman invasion?
Yeah, exactly. The Norman conquest of 1066.
It's huge.
That was a major turning point.
Like upended.
Totally upended the linguistic landscape.
Yeah.
Suddenly you have French with its Latin roots becoming the language of the court.
The fancy people.
The elite, the ruling class.
Okay, so imagine you walk into this, dinner party.
Okay.
And the regular folks are using the basic Anglo-Saxon words.
Exactly.
Like bread and fish.
Right.
And then you go and talk to the king. And all of a sudden it's buff and pork.
Exactly.
Which became our
beef and pork.
Beef and pork.
Exactly.
Wait.
It's a fascinating linguistic snapshot of the social dynamics of the time.
So like people actually had to learn.
Oh, absolutely.
To
get ahead in society.
To climb the social ladder.
To climb the social ladder.
Wow.
It's amazing, isn't it?
So like how much French did people actually have to learn?
Well, it depended on their social standing.
Okay.
But for those who wanted to rise in the ranks, they had to become fluent in French.
Oh, wow.
It was the language of power, of law, of literature.
Got it.
So, pretty important.
So then what happened to German?
Yeah, well, it didn't just disappear.
Okay.
It went underground for a bit. And then it had these remarkable comebacks.
Okay. Like when?
Well, think about the Renaissance in the scientific revolution. These were periods of immense intellectual and cultural change.
Yeah.
And German scholars and scientists were right at the forefront.
Right.
So naturally, their language came along for the ride.
Right. Okay, so what kind of words came in during that period?
Well, think about kindergarten.
Okay.
It literally means children's garden in German.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah. And this concept of early childhood education, pioneered in Germany, transformed the way we think about educating young children.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And what about...
Oh, and then there's zeitgeist.
Zeitgeist?
Another gem
that
captures that intangible essence of a particular era.
Right, right.
And of course, who could forget wanderlust? That irresistible urge to travel.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It speaks to that romantic spirit that was so prevalent in German culture at the time.
Yeah, I love that word.
Yeah, it's a great word.
Okay, so we've got kindergarten, zeitgeist, wanderlust, all German.
All German.
Wow.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
It's amazing how these words have become so ingrained in English.
So are there any other interesting German words that snuck into English?
Oh, absolutely. But I think to really understand the breadth of German influence, we need to look beyond just individual words and consider the impact of German military and political might.
Okay, so like, what are you talking about?
Well, think about the 18th and 19th centuries.
Right.
Germany was a major force on the world stage, both militarily and politically.
Yeah.
And that influence is reflected in the language.
Okay, give me some examples.
Well, a prime example is the word Panzer.
Panzer, okay.
Meaning tank.
Right.
It came into English during World War II.
Oh, wow, yeah.
To describe those formidable German tanks.
Makes sense.
And then there's Blitzkrieg.
Blitzkrieg?
Which literally means lightning war.
Right, yeah.
It captures that intense, fast-paced style of warfare that the Germans were known for.
So it's not just that they were like a military power.
Exactly.
It's that they were like...
Yeah, they were innovative.
Yeah.
They were strategic.
Right.
And that really captured the attention of the world.
Yeah. And those words like Panzer and Blitzkrieg.
Yeah.
They really do have like a certain...
Yeah, they have a weight to them.
Weight.
Yeah, a seriousness.
Yeah, for sure.
They reflect that power and that impact that Germany had.
Wow. Okay. So is that where the German influence ends?
Not at all.
Really?
Modern English is still borrowing from German.
Oh, wow.
It's a living language.
Yeah.
It's constantly evolving.
Right.
And it continues to draw inspiration from other languages.
Like German.
Including German.
Give me some examples.
Okay, so think about the word doppelganger.
Doppelganger.
It refers to a ghostly double.
Oh, yeah. That's a creepy one.
Yeah.
But it's a good word.
It is a good word.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really have a direct equivalent in English.
Right. We had to borrow it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude, yeah.
That delicious feeling of pleasure
that
you get from someone else's misfortune.
Right. That like guilty pleasure.
That guilty pleasure. Yeah. Again, no direct equivalent in English.
So we had to take a...
Borrow it from German.
Yeah. Got it. It's amazing, isn't it?
It is.
How these words add this extra layer of nuance and expression to English.
Yeah, and I think it's not just individual words.
Exactly. It's also about these broader concepts.
Yeah.
From German music, art, and philosophy.
Okay.
That have permeated English culture.
Right.
And shaped the way we think and express ourselves.
Yeah, so it's like a much bigger...
It's a much broader influence.
The influence.
It's really fascinating.
Yeah. And
it's something that I think often gets overlooked.
Okay, so what does this all mean for, like, our listeners?
Yeah,
what's the takeaway here?
Well, I think the big takeaway is that language is interconnected.
Yeah.
It's constantly borrowing and adapting. And when we explore these influences, it gives us this deeper appreciation for the richness and the complexity of our own language.
Right, so like,
all these words that we use every day.
Exactly.
They have these like...
Yeah, they have these hidden histories. These connections to other cultures. It's really quite remarkable.
Yeah, and I think when you start to think about it, it's like...
You start to see the world in a new way.
Yeah, and like it makes you think like, what other influences are out there?
What other hidden connections are there?
Yeah.
It's a linguistic treasure hunt.
That's a great way to put it.
It's waiting to be discovered.
So I guess that's it for today.
That's it for our deep dive.
Yeah. Into German.
Into the surprising German influence on English.
And I think we can all agree that English would be a lot less interesting without it.
Yeah, I completely agree.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening.
And happy exploring.
See you next time.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. If this topic piqued your interest, you can contact me via my website for German classes on all levels, in person in Dubai or online worldwide.